Bali is the digital nomad capital of the world. With tropical island vibes, warm weather and amazing food, it's no surprise why so many people decide to come here either for a vacation or to even live long term. So I wanted to see for myself what Bali is like. So I am currently spending 30 days here as a digital nomad while running my online business remotely. And I wanted to track for myself exactly how much an average week for myself costs here in Bali. And then compare it to my average week where I mostly live in Dubai. And the way I want to do this is that I want to give you as accurate of an idea as possible for how much it would cost per week to actually live here, not necessarily to be here as a tourist. And some of the expenses for the week that I'm about to show you are more like touristy expenses. I'm also going to at the end break down how much a regular week would cost here if you didn't account for any like touristy activities that I did here. So basically what I would spend if I was just living my exactly normal life here in Bali. And we're also going to include the cost of my villa that we're renting here, the cost of the motorbike, the gym, and everything fully amortized for the week. So with that said, let's get started from Monday.
Welcome to Monday. So as my first order of business, I'm actually going to be getting groceries, which is not usually something that you do here in Bali because eating out is so incredibly cheap. But what I have noticed is that eating out every single day is very, very tough to get my protein in. I actually want to buy some Greek yogurt and eggs and stuff from the grocery store. We're going to be doing that right now. What's crazy is that here in Bali, buying groceries and making food yourself pretty much costs the exact same as just eating out or ordering. Maybe not quite as much, but I calculated that what I just bought will get me like 4 breakfasts and it came out to almost 400k, which is like slightly less than 100k per meal, maybe 80k per meal. And if I had ordered it from something like Grab, it could have been like almost exactly the same price. But have to get the protein in.
After making my breakfast for myself, I had a lunch for 200k, after which we headed to the gym. The gym we go to is called Body Factory. I think it's by far the nicest gym you can get in Bali, at least in the Canggu area. Also very, very expensive, by the way. We'll get back to those costs in a second. But after the gym, we very often go to this place called Smokies nearby. It has nice protein shakes. And today we did exactly that. And the protein shake ended up costing 90k. And at night I also had dinner where my portion came out to 250k, which I forgot to film, but it was in an Italian restaurant. So here's a picture of some pasta, which looks like what I ate. On the Tuesday, I made breakfast for myself with the eggs and Greek yogurt that I bought earlier, which ended up coming out to 0 extra cost. My lunch ended up costing me 150k, which again I forgot to film because I was so hungry. After that, we went to the other side of the Bali island for a jungle safari. The whole experience, which we booked like a VIP premium whatever tour.
So this thing we're about to go on was 1.4 million per person. Yeah, we paid for the premium option. That's how this is the premium lounge we got, and we get a premium welcome drink. Basically, we just pay so that we don't have to be in the cage with the other people, with the normal people. Yeah, let's see how this goes. This is the amazing welcome drink we got. We're kind of disappointed that it was not vodka.
I know, I wanted to be drunk for the Tigers.
It's kind of disappointing, but it will do. It's almost as handsome as you, Tim.
Almost.
No,
Almost.
Beautiful tiger.
It also included a 5-course dinner, so no extra cost for dinner on Tuesday. Before the safari, I also had this dessert for around 35k. So before we move on, to give you some general guidance about spending money here in Bali, number one is that cash is still kind of king, although credit card is actually surprisingly widely accepted and almost all of the restaurants and places like this, but you still want to carry cash with you as much as possible. And the thing to understand there is that a lot of the ATMs, it will only allow you to withdraw a certain amount at one time. For example, the ATM that we use only allows you to withdraw 3 million rupiah at once, which does mean that you're gonna have to go to the ATM quite a few times. So I do recommend that before coming here, you figure out which one of your cards has the lowest fee for like a per transaction ATM withdrawal, because otherwise these withdrawals could become quite costly. On Wednesday, I ate breakfast at this really cool place called Baked near our villa that ended up totaling to 158k. After that, because when we were going to the safari, my friend actually dropped his phone on the motorbike because we rode the motorbikes there. I actually went with him to Denpasar, which is this town nearby in Bali, to buy a new phone with it. I didn't obviously pay for the phone, but I paid for one of the grabs, which ended up being 77k.
He got his phone.
An hour later.
5 hours later.
20 minutes just to tell me they don't have the right case.
After that, we had lunch that ended up coming out to 150k, and finally dinner at this super cool Asian place next to this rice field, which ended up totaling around 200k. On Thursday, our breakfast was 200k, then I had a 50k coffee, kind of a fancy lunch for around 380k, and I took 2 Grab motorbike taxis to get to this place, equaling 10k each, so 20k in total. Then we did a surfing lesson for 500k for around 2 hours, although I was so tired and so terrible at surfing that we only really ended up doing it for 1 hour, but nevertheless, it was a really cool experience. My second time in my life surfing. Definitely not my thing though, I was absolutely terrible. And finally for dinner, I ended up having this ribeye steak for around 230k on to Friday. In the morning, I had this super healthy breakfast for 84k.
Bulking diet, bulking breakfast.
At lunch for 90k, and for the weekend we actually headed with my friend to Ubud, where we stayed for 2 nights. Over there we took Grab taxis and stuff, where the ones that I paid for ended up totaling around 100k. We went to the monkey forest to see a bunch of monkeys, which was super cool experience. It's such fun animals. That entrance ticket was 80k per person, and at night we had dinner at this super cool Balinese place in Ubud that ended up totaling 310k for my portion. Now obviously in this video I'm showing you all of the sort of running expenses that I have throughout the week, like mainly food, activities, things like this. But of course, if you want to get a true idea of the cost of an average week here in Bali, you need to consider other things as well, like for example rent, which for us came out to a total of around $3,780, but because I'm splitting it with my friend, my portion was around $1,894.75 for the entire month. So if we amortize that for the week, that comes out to $437.25 per week.
Right now I'm gonna give you a little sneak peek of our villa, but if you want the full tour, there's gonna be a full villa tour coming up on the channel later. But just to give you an idea, this is what we are dealing with. Main area, then we've got 2 bedrooms, one for my friend, one for me. We've got a pool, little kitchen area, and this little outside area over here. And yeah, that is pretty much that.
The other expense we had for the entire month was renting a motorbike, which is actually pretty cheap. The one we rented was 2.5 million rupiah for the month, which per week in US dollars comes out to $35.77. And the last bigger sort of monthly expense was our gym. And this was actually a very expensive gym, like even more expensive than the one that I would have in Dubai. Total came out to $280 per month, which per week comes out to $64.96. Now this is very expensive, but fitness is like outside of work is like the second priority in my life. So to me, I'm always willing to spend whatever money it takes to get the best gym possible. And this gym is absolutely awesome. But we'll add these figures to the running total at the end of the video. On Saturday, we had a day full of activities in Ubud because we were only really there for 1 full day. We had breakfast for 110k, which again, I did not film. Then we went whitewater rafting, which was also a super cool experience. That one ended up being 500k per person, which was actually a really good price because it was like almost half a day experience. Included in that price was a lunch at this local buffet place, which actually ended up giving me Bali belly. So if you're not aware, Bali belly is like when you get food poisoning here in Bali. It's extremely common because of the humidity and everything, and like a lot of these local places maybe don't have the technology to properly protect the food. So I ended up being sick for the next like 4 days. I'm actually still kind of sick right now, which actually ended up saving me money the following day because I wasn't really able to eat anything. But nevertheless, because we were still in Ubud, we also went to this pool club and to get drinks afterwards for 400k and 400k respectively. And I vomited a bunch of times during these activities and the following night. And yeah, I won't go into all the details on that. It's not nice. Be careful where you eat in Bali. Pro tip. Finally, on Sunday, we had a breakfast where my portion ended up being 125k. And we also went to this fancy pool club called Kretia for 1.25 million per person, which was a total mistake because I couldn't really do anything there because I had a fever, but it was a cool place nonetheless. And because I was sick, I wasn't really eating much for the rest of the day. Although we did get our taxi back from Ubud to Canggu, that one ended up being 380k in total. And we did have a dinner at this super nice steak place, which was a mistake because I paid a bunch of money for this meal, which ended up being 700k for my portion. And I wasn't really able to eat that much at the end of the day. All in all, however, all of my day-to-day spending in Bali for this particular week, if we are counting absolutely everything, actually comes out to 7,275,000 in Indonesian rupiah, and when we convert that to US dollars, that's $451.02. However, if we're counting absolutely everything, technically we also paid for the villa that we stayed in Ubud, which is on top of my rent that we're paying for this villa in Canggu. So if we're counting that as well, then my portion, because we split it, would be $115. And when we add it to the previous total, it comes out to $566. And when we add together the cost of the motorbike and the cost of the villa and the cost of the gym, the grand total of what I actually spent comes out to $1,104 US dollars for the week. But like I said before, a lot of these expenses were expenses that I wouldn't normally have if I was living here, if I was not like touristing here half the time. So if we don't count the cost of the other villa that we had in Ubud for a couple of days, if we don't count the rafting, the safari, things like this, then the sort of adjusted total would come out to $328.26 for my weekly sort of running expenses. And then everything together, it comes out to $866.24. And by the way, like I said before, this is me just like spending whatever money I want. I'm not even thinking about the money that I'm spending. The place we have is as nice as I could ever have. We're eating out like every single day. We're eating at nice places, Western food, like not trying to save money at all. So this is how much money I spend. But of course, this is not me trying to be on a budget or anything like that. So if this seems high to you, then just bear that in mind. When in Dubai, when I did the same video for my weekly expenses in Dubai, I spent $1,400 and something for the week, including rent, gym, everything. And that was me like not splurging that much, like living pretty much like a normal life. So I hope that gives you somewhat of an idea of what this kind of lifestyle that you just saw in this video would cost here in Bali. Again, of course, you could live much cheaper here if you eat local food, if you stay in a less nice place, if you don't do all these activities, etc. But that was my very truthful spending for this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you want to see a full tour of this villa that we are staying here in Bali, then you can watch this video right here. It's not out as of me recording this, but once it's out, it's going to be right here. And if you want to see another video from me, then you can watch this video right here. With that, I will see you in the next one.